All right. So we are talking. We are talking CAPO. So I don't know if I'll be able to get through the copyright with what I intend to show you today. So this could be a one and done. So if you are a live event ticket holder, then you could be the only ones eventually seeing this, because if I get a copyright, I just don't like going through all the garbage to deal with it. But if I get one, then I won't be able to. I'll have to edit out the music that I'm actually using as the demonstration. So for those of you that see this and wonder why something doesn't sound right when it comes to us playing, then you'll know the reason why. So, all right. Look, it's a question I get all the time, constantly. One way or another, right? About usually why would I use a capo, and how would I use a capo, and all that kind of stuff. And then you get into the, should I use a capo? And you get into these rabbit holes, and and you're going to get a lot of opinions. And mine is only an opinion, because it's an opinion that comes from doing it, right? So I can sort of have an opinion. And to me, it's a no-brainer. Like using a capo and knowing how to use a capo to not only to your advantage playing the guitar, but also vocally. For those of you that sing or aspire to sing with your playing or to someone else's playing, it's all intertwined, and you have to and will end up approaching, things a little bit different. So to suit you, and that's what's important, right? So today, again, my views today, as they are in every show I do, are strictly of mine, and they come from experience. That's it. I'm just like you. I've told you that from day one, and I think that's how people relate a little bit. I am not the one that's going to take you to the Olympics, but I'm the one that can get you playing your guitar, as soon as you can, but not hands-on, but philosophy-wise, and also be reassuring that you can do this, right? It's just a matter of when. But remember, I don't want to get too off topic because we want to talk capo today, but remember that this will only go as far as you take it. And your destiny as a guitar player is in your hands. And that's all you can ever ask for in anything. If you think about it, right? Like, we buy big ticket items trusting a certain thing in return. There's no guarantee here of what you're going to get in return. Thankfully, you control 100%. So, if you think it that way, then it becomes, you got to have a little intestinal fortitude to really want to do this. So if you're the type that gives up as soon as something gets a little tough, then maybe try a ukulele, or, something along those lines, and think campfire. And then there's guitar. See, there's a joke between ukulele players and guitar players, which is the lowest form of campfire music. And so, depending on where your views are there, you might have seen my face get a little darker. That's not intentional. It's just probably the light I was using there coming from a screen thing, whatever. So, all right. And it's not that I want you to see my face. It's so at least, you can see what's going on here a little better. Capos, right? Yes, of course, you should use them. And here's something I do quite a bit. I just throw capo on 2, usually, sometimes 3. And I like the way the rest of the strings feel because of it. So I'm playing a full scale guitar, everything's fine, dandy, but hey, I'll admit this guitar needs, I got to take it in and get some work. You got to do it once in a while. And sometimes, I find it a little difficult to play up here uh, that I usually like for string clearance, right? That between the frets. So when you throw a capo on too, then you have you tighten and sort of shorten the strings, and they're closer down and they're easier to play. So that's the biggest reason. And you just treat it like it's an open thing. So this is still a G, and that's still a C in your mind because you're playing those chords, but you're actually playing. Remember, on guitar we go up 2 frets, so you're going up 1 key. So you're playing a G, which should be in the key of G, but you're playing it with a capo on 2. So now it's, you guessed it, an A. And that C is now a D. Okay? So if you were playing, G, C, and D, you put a capo on 2, and you're now playing A, D, E. So that's the 1, 4, 5 of that key. The key that you were playing before that you transposed to was 1, 4, 5 G, C, D. So it's all apples and oranges. Oh, hi, Randy. How are you? Hope all is well. Entering this festive season. Barb, hello, Barb. How are you? Sorry, as you know, I'm not always great noticing the messages, but all right. So remember that. But in your mind, as far as you're concerned, you're playing the G, the C, and the D, for lack of any other 3 chords. So it just makes the strings a little tighter, get a little different voicing out of it, right? So this, even though it's an A and a D and an E, it's a different sounding one. And sometimes that's really helpful, and it's important if you want to sound like a record. That's why you often hear, someone say, oh, if you want to sound like the record, put a capo, whatever I'm doing, put a capo on 2 or 1 or whatever, right? Because the record might be sharp. So it's the same, a lot of times you'll get capo on 1, so you're still playing a C and a G and a D, right? Right? Or you're playing, whatever. And then you can take those 3 chords, flip around, and do anything you want with them. Start getting creative with it. But you're playing the 1, 5, 4 of 2 different keys. So that's all. Sorry, in this case, you're just going up sharp. So your C, D, you're actually playing C sharp, D sharp, and G sharp, right? Or if you want to refer to it in flats, Oh yeah, I've never done it, and I have no plans on it. And I know that sounds horrible, but I don't. Don't ever hand me a guitar at a party and say, "Hey, play a Christmas tune." I'd be like, "Pass. I have no clue." But good for you. uh, so yeah, so the capo, that's one of the reasons, just to make your guitar feel and sound differently. So now I can move it, I can move the capo up here and still play my G. And my C, it just sounds different because I'm not playing a G and a C. Right? So again, it allows guitar players of any level to play one chord, but it's really actually another chord. That's the gist of it. Now, if you're a singer, right? Um, if you're, you know, if this is a package deal, singing and playing guitar, and now you're creating an overall sound. Now you're in a different ballpark because now your job is not to just create or recreate a melody or a song, for example, is your song or it's a song you're covering. It's not only that anymore. You've got to sound it too. So really, what it is, we're kind of a mixer. So our brain is mixing our voice and our guitar, and our ear is trying to meld them together to create one overall sound. Okay, so that's what some of you are going through. Now, for you people that want to sing and play, this becomes a huge tool, right? Because now, you can, if it's say there's a song that you want to play, but it's just too low for you. That's fine, Michael, whatever, right? So now you got, and you just find it's too low, right? For whatever reason. So you're playing, say, in the key of G. So if you take your capo, right, and throw her on 2 here, right? So now when you sing, you might find it's a better match. That's a big thing for you singers, right? So, what do we got here? I feel like I'm in Pound Town at a sausage festival. Ah, jeez, it's always one of these idiots. I guess you got nothing better to do. Here, go away. See you later. So there's a number one reason these live open for everybody are coming to an end. There's things I'm working on that will erase that kind of stuff. So sorry about that. I know it's so yeah. So once you the job of the capo in strictly guitar is to raise the key. And again, I'm just giving you some reasons to why you would want to do that. So singers for sure. 2 would be that you'd want to play in a key that would require you to play a certain type of chord that you can't play yet. So by using the capo, you can play the chords that you know and have them reflect as the yeah, you're right. They could be in the higher key or the other key. So a good example of that would be the exact story or reason as to why one of the reasons I learned guitar, because at some point I wanted to play certain classic songs from childhood and stuff. And when I tried to play the song that I wanted to play, sorry, I couldn't do it because it was I couldn't play the chords. All right, so let me see. I think I got them somewhere because they're so when I so this is the best as far as a guitar. This is the best example of to show you is when you want to play a song, for example, in the key of E, right? There are 2 songs that I wanted to play and I couldn't play them because they required that I play bar chords. Okay? And I wasn't into it, not into it, whatever. And if it doesn't matter you don't have to have a reason not to play bar chords. So I figured, okay, I can't play this song. I mean, I did. I figured it out. It hurt. I put a lot of time into it. I still can't do it properly. Blah blah blah. Just I just wanted to get over it, and so I never really mastered it, right? And anyways, I didn't realize. So in order to play that song, I'd have to play. I think it's. Something like that, I think. Right, that's the song. So that's why I warned people at the beginning that if you're cruising through this and all of a sudden you hear some weird music and you go, "What's he doing? That's not making sense." They probably voided out the thing, right? Just so you know. Anyway, so I couldn't play this song, so I just gave up on it. Where all I had to do, okay, was take a capo, but I didn't know any of this at the time. And if you put a capo on 4 and you play the chords from the key of C, you're actually playing in the key of E, which is what these songs that I'm going to show you are written in. So, in other words, I don't have to play those bar chords anymore. Because what I've done, or what you can do, is you're playing in the key of E, but you're using the chords from the key of C, which have no bar chords in them. There's no sharps or flats in C. So you don't have to play a bar chord. That's the relevance and importance of that whole 4th fret thing. So if you're on the 4th fret, you're in the key of E if you're playing C chords. Or if you want to think about it, I'm in the key of E, where do I need to be to play C chords? It's the 4th fret. So now all of a sudden, that song that I wanted to learn is... Ba ba ba, ba ba ba, right? Ba 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 ba. Like again, I don't want to trip the copyright, so I'm trying, but I think you know the song. So look, so I played the same song, but I used the chords from the key of C that I learned day 1. So that's another reason why you would use a capo. So if someone says to you, "Oh, you're just being lazy because you should just learn the chords," and they're not wrong. I'm just saying you don't have to, right? If you don't want to, you'd use a capo. Another example would be, I'm trying to think of something that would come to mind. Okay, so here's a good example, actually. Now, you want to play songs, you want to play cover songs, or whatever, and so you do the inner Google, as Randy says. You do the inner Google, and you get the chords. So you sit there and you go, okay, D, A, B minor, G. Right? And you decide, because maybe you got to sing too. You decide that that's too much. You're gonna risk doing a really bad sounding B minor, and it's gonna mess you all up, right? So you got some options. It could also be that you just don't feel your voice is in that range. Something's missing. Okay, so the first thing we can do, if we want to get rid of that B minor, if we put a capo on 2, right? And now we play the chords directly lower. So on a guitar, that would be the 2 frets lower. So one full tone, right? So for the first chord, we were playing a D. We would now play a C, because C with capo 2 is a D. The second chord, right, was an E, or an A, right? So we would play the G. And then no B minor, we'd play the A minor, and then we'd play the F. So now we've removed the bar chord from this song. You add any strumming pattern you want. I'm just, but I think we know many songs that have that chord progression. So you've just basically, you've taken out the bar chord, the B minor. Okay, now, look, you're still playing in the key of D, because you're playing a C chord to the G. Well, with the capo on, that's D to A. And that's the way we originally played it. So the original way, we're lower, we have a bar chord. If we have a lower voice, we might not have a choice as to play. We might have to learn that bar chord and play that bar chord. But so you see what we're doing here? We're using the capo to take the bar chord out and still be able to play in the same key, albeit different. This D here, right, which is the C with a capo on 2, it's a D technically, but it's not the same as a pure open D played properly. It's not the same. It's a D, right? So it's just a different D. So again, and that is why some people will use a capo, whether it's a singing thing or it's just a tone of voicing that they like, and they like a D played like this with a capo on 2 better than the D played open. So that would be why you would use a capo as well. Now in this case, we've already changed this from the original, which was open D, open A, B minor, G. We slapped a capo on 2 and played the chords beneath them, which was C, G, A minor, F. Okay? Now what you could essentially do, if you needed to go lower, then you could remove the capo and play Glove your hands and twist of fate, better nail man to make it way and away for you. So you could do that. So you got all these options to both match, either or match your voice to your guitar, or if you just don't want to play that bar chord, you could take it out. And that's all because we used a capo. That's it. No, I don't know any Taylor Swift, but I don't know, GCD something, right? I think the last I looked was everything was G, E minor, C, D, right, with a little cute bridge. So, I don't know. Did you want me to play you some Taylor Smith? Is that what you were asking? Because I do have a tip line for donations for taking personal requests. But okay, so I just want to make sure you guys understand about the capo thing. It can be used many ways, and it is what's hard to play. Taylor Smith, Swift. I don't think it's hard to play. I think maybe if you're talking about matching the whole what do you call arrangement, instrument by instrument, it's like a symphony. Like they layer stuff on in post production. They do, I mean, if that's what you're talking about, you can't do that with a guitar. So you're always going to sound thin. But she just uses the same, you know, well, look, okay. I mean, that's a good point you're bringing up. But for people, I used to get intimidated by when I would look at chord tabs, like for songs or whatever, and I'd see all these bizarre chords from the people you mentioned, John Mayer, and I'm not going to put Taylor Swift in that. I haven't looked at any of her tabs, but I always assumed it was basically, C, D, G, E minor kind of stuff. Um, but Prince was notorious. I would assume Led Zeppelin's got some bizarre chords in their repertoire as well. And I used to get all chuffed out about it, and then I realized you don't need to know things note for note. And I mean, a C is a C. And a lot of times, yeah, I'm sure you remove it. You're removing and adding degrees by moving things around and calling them, whatever, and how many what letters on the scale. There is a formula to it. You don't need to know it. Just play the C. Use common sense and use your ears. And if you get a funky chord that is a, E something slash suspended whatever and all these numbers, look, listen to what you want to do. If it's your own thing, or if it's, you're doing your own version of a cover, then you make it work. But if you're trying to match and you're having trouble, then just sort of take a guess that if it's start with the E major. Does that match up? Does that sound? Does it give you what you're looking for? Maybe play it on the trebly side or the bassy side, right? And then remove a finger. Is that what you're looking for? Use common sense. Use your ear. Use this finger, these two. And that's your E minor, right? And play around with it and see if you can find, because that's all it is these fancy chords are just you're adding and deleting notes in the chord. So the chord looks different, has blah blah blah. You don't at this level. That's not something you need to worry about. And if you're looking for that information, I'm not your person. I know enough to do what I want and needed to do, and it will sound almost the same. Don't get hung up on about it. And if you're at the level that is noticeable, then good for you. And again, you shouldn't be, you shouldn't be getting anything out of this channel, because you should be, higher up if that's the case. But so yeah, it's the capo just does nothing but help you. And I mean, if you really want to go to the extreme, I mean, remember, you can take any song anywhere. The only thing that's going to happen is, if this is from a singer's point of view. So if you wanted to bend a certain song to your range, and you found that when you did your inner Google and it told you the chords, that was just not going to work. It was just way too low, and you need to get higher. And you can bring your capo up anywhere you want. I mean, you can come right up here. The only issue is the frets are very different. But you can transform the whole output of your instrument. Right? Especially if you have slender fingers and you can get in there. Right? Oh, accordion, yeah. Yeah, quite a difference. So you're in for a bit of a learning curve, but you know, you should be good with you already have the built-in theory coming over from that. Um, so you should be good. I don't know. I find I'm diddling around with a keyboard, and I find it's pretty easy. Like it's makes more sense, and most of it is because I know the theory now. Like I get the chord theory, and it's great for if you know your chord theory. The piano's good for that, right? Like, and you can get far with little. If you can look at that keyboard and see the notes and the chords, more importantly. Anyways, there's another reason we would use a capo, is to just completely change the sound of our instrument. So now all of a sudden our little sounds like a mandolin. You got to really work at it, because these are really small areas. In fact, I finalized a song I was writing based on what we're doing right now, which was just, moving around the neck with my capo one night. And I don't know, I was just playing, I had this idea for a song, and this was kind of like the opening. And then I kind of realized, that might have been kind of similar to another song that I had written already that was in that same soundy kind of thing. And I like that somber. So I was playing around, and I had the capo, and I put the capo on, one, and I just sort of played around. Just seeing what was there, right? And then, move it up. I went to 3, I think. Start to get these different sort of vibes, and I'm playing around. It's kind of weird, and I don't know, so I give it one of these, right? And as soon as I hit that there, I'm like, okay. That sounded pretty cool. So I'm just playing, like, just ticking around with it like this. Now, so now I'm thinking, okay, I know what this chord is. I'm just, like, should I be playing all the strings or not? I don't know. Now I'm onto something, right? Right here. As soon as I did that. Now, you don't know this. I'm just going blabbing on to fill the show here. But so I'm sitting, I got this chord that when I play it without the capo, we're back to where we started. Remember, and I didn't want to do this. There's the intro. Right? So I thought it was strange that without subconsciously realizing it, I'm playing around just like we were just talking, and I was doing these little things, and I played that chord that I just played here, and not that I didn't like it, it's just I didn't want to use it because it was so familiar with something else. And I'm like, this sounds pretty cool. But when I went like that, and then I just started going back and forth, right? So now I'm sitting there, and I got all these ideas. and stuff that I wanted to write about, and I'd started to kind of. So I'm thinking, let's see how I can get this to sound. Okay. Now, essentially, all I'm doing how's it sound now? Right? How's that sound now? Because that became this. All because of the capo. Like I mean, it's not. I'm not. It's not a musical thing. It's not a. It's reality, and it's like, okay, this is what I can do with it, and how I can use it, and it changed everything, right? Now all of a sudden my mind's going. I hear the perfect backdrop to what I want to say. Lyrics are falling into place. Anybody out there that writes songs, you know exactly what I'm talking about right now. Things were falling into place. I'm like, oh, I got this amazing thing. And when I added that little to the A minor, now, look, I'm going to be honest. I did most of this without knowing anything about theory. In fact, I probably did it all. And I think any changes I made after were not because theoretically I might have put a bad chord in there. It was because I just felt something might have sounded, or I wanted something to sound a certain way, regardless. So when I wrote this, and this is for everybody that does the same, again, you don't have to worry about the rules or where everything. If it sounds good to your ear, there's a 99 something chance it's going to be theoretically correct. If someone analyzes what you just played, oh yeah, he's playing the 1 4 5 6 of the chord of the key, or the 1 4 5 or the 2 3 4, whatever. Okay, so it just opened everything up, and next thing you know, I had this simple, sticking with the 2-finger thing. I had this simple little chord pattern. And you know me, right? Less is more. I always tell you that every day. So look what I'm playing. That's it. Right? And then back to that. Then back. See? Like it's just and then you lay the lyrics over it. So by just adding that capo, right? Like it just changed everything. So you can say what you want about capos, for the people that, again, say, you should just learn the bar chords. Well, some of us just don't want to or can't because of, it's, I have issues with my wrist, right? I mean, that's from bar chords. That's how I started that. I wear this all the time. I pretty much have to have some sort of compression when I play. Anything more than just, I can feel it after 15 minutes of playing. I start getting this ache, and then it starts in the back of my hand, and blah blah blah. So, and that's just reality. So, I think the best thing is you do what's best for you. So, but yeah, that's so. We've pretty much shown everything. I didn't want it to be as usual, any heavy theory or anything like that. I mean, again, what they mean when they can move the key, you can move. It just means if you are playing a set of chords in the key of G, your G, C, Ds, or if you're in A and you're playing, A, E, D, or something like that, or A, D, E, A, D, E, A, D, E. That would be a 1, 4, 5, whatever, right? Okay, so you're playing, that means you're playing in the key of A. So when they say use the capo to change the key, what that means is for every 2 frets you go up, you're going to change the key higher than the one you started with. So you started in A. So if you put the capo on 2, you'd be starting, you get to play the same chords. That's the key, right? You get to play the same chords, familiar chords, A, D. But now I'm playing in the key of B. So if I wanted to keep up with you without a capo, then I would have to play the chords B, right? B. And then we went to a D, right? So I would have to play an E, which I could play because it would be open. And then the last chord, you do the 2 fret math, and there you go. So now you've stayed playing the A, D, E in your mind and in your physical being, but you're actually making music in the key of B. Okay? So that's the relevance here. So if I went up another one, right? So now if I play A, well now there's my B, 2 frets. I'm playing an A, capo's on 3, so I'm now playing a B, and what's after B? There's no B sharp, so it's a C. So even though I'm playing an A major shape chord, I'm playing a C. There's that C. Listen carefully. There's my C. So the difference is only that it's lower, but the pitch is the same, okay? So again, that's the relevance of the capo. See, it's just a higher version. And as we keep going, that A is now a C sharp. So that replaces having to play the C sharp minor or just the C sharp. So you'd be playing C sharp, right? So you'd be playing here where the capo is. It just takes away that whole bar chord thing for you there. So now you can play. So that A, there's your C sharp. F sharp. Right? Yeah, I know my technical director and stage manager are both on vacation. So it's just me. uh, I'm not tech savvy enough to do that. The way two screens would help. Yeah, I wish I had. I wish I had the technical ability. I could barely show one screen, never mind two. So, anyways, I just again wanted to go through that, make sure that the capo you understood. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the capo. It can do nothing but help you. You don't have to use it, but I've shown you some ways and reasons why you would. The type you use, completely up to you. I mean, I've used a few different ones. The only ones I'm really not a fan of, the ones where you got to kind of do a lot of twiddling around. Like, I like to be able to just leave it and move it up and down as I need it. If I don't need it, I can either stick it here or, I can put it on the end of the headstock or whatever. And like, I'm not looking for such precision. Now, if I was out making a living as a jazz guitarist and every single note had to be played properly or for the risk of being too sharp or flat, then that would be different. I would probably require the best. And I believe the best ones are the ones that you first adjust. There's like an adjustment period, but once you've got it adjusted, I think it. Anyways, don't quote me on that. But so other than that, it's really a good idea. And again, for you singers, it's almost mandatory because there's going to be things that you're going to want to sing that you really shouldn't be, and that capo will definitely help you bring the range up and down accordingly, right? Was there anything else someone had mentioned? Does it affect? Oh, does it affect the? Um, that's the other thing I get asked a lot about. Does it affect the strings in any way? Um, Look, from someone who pretty much has their guitar in their hand every day, if it does, I don't notice it. And I don't really see how it would. If you're thinking, does it leave little, like if you leave your capo on overnight, is it going to disfigure your strings? And I mean, as I said, I've never noticed. Okay. I mean, the capo, as far as being dirty or anything like that, it'd be no dirtier than grabbing your guitar without first properly washing your hands, right? So every time you do that, potentially you're doing more harm to your strings health than you are using a capo. Um, but again, that's just my experience. I never even thought about it, and generally, if you don't have to think about something, it's either there's a reason or it's just not worth it, right? So that's the way I kind of look at that. And they don't seem like there's nothing about tuning, right? I think if you're worried about not being in perfect tune with the capo on, that's a different story. But it should not affect your overall tuning. If you slap a capo on and play a song or two with it and then take it off, you shouldn't have to retune your guitar, right? Now, it depends on the level of precision you're looking for. And then on the other end of things, you know, when your capo is on, are you in proper tuning? Right? So if a capo has it, like anything, if it gets older or the adjustment, there's some sort of an adjustment for grip and it's been changed, moved, altered, slacked off in unknowingly, whatever, that would make a difference. You're assuming you're capoing your strings properly, but you're not. Also, you'll find that the rubber wears on the one side that's along the strings. And if it starts to wear grooves, then is it still the same? Like, these are questions for much larger brains and higher on the pay scale than me. But I'm assuming like this one has a pretty good gator grip, right? And I'm assuming that's what I need. And if I put a tuner on and I play this here, yeah, there's my F sharp. Pretty much it is green, so there's the F sharp. Right? And the same right on the B. So you generally now where you will find that one's okay. Meh. What you might find is, again, as the capo wears, it could be up, off enough to upset what you're doing, but nothing at our level, not at all. Or at low, beginners. This isn't stuff you even need to worry about. Slap the capo on and don't worry about it. Like just if your guitar's in tune, don't worry about it. So no, the answer is it will not affect just because you use a capo. Maybe on a cheaper guitar, I can't speak for that, but I don't think you should have a problem with your tuning. Okay, and as far as when the capo is on, whether the tuning is good, that's more to do with your capo than your guitar. So that means that it's either not adjusted properly, it's putting too much, tension, say, on these strings and not enough on the other 3 or 2 strings. So, right. Nothing wrong with caged at all. But again, this is more of a beginner's shtick here, right? So, everybody here, like the caged, like anything on guitar, becomes looking back, oh, wow, it's so simple. Why didn't I do it earlier? Well, you don't have the finger dexterity. You don't have at all, zero knowledge of the fretboard. And it's very daunting. It's very tough. And, you have to actually play more with your back 3 fingers. And that's a good thing. But as a beginner, you generally are relying more on your 2 forefingers. And so then you have to start developing these. Look, I hear you, get you. It's not my thing. Tried it, been there, done that. Spent a couple of months on it, working at it diligently. All I really got out of it was more sloppily played chords than good ones and a sore wrist. So, but it is something. Hey, if it's something, it's your alley, or if it's a specific voicing, and that's the only way to get that voicing you need, then go nuts. And if you are already a pretty competent guitar player and you have what I always call the guitar foundation, left hand, right hand ear, brain, and you've got it working, then adding a weird chord or a different type of fingering of a chord into your repertoire, piece of cake. Like a day or two, whatever, a few hours. Depends on your level, right? So, again, once you're, um, once you are, once you are, competent around the guitar, you know, it's not going to take long. So that's why I always say build that foundation, play those chords over, and get your songs involved early, play basic versions of songs. Your timing, don't worry about that stuff. Yes, it's good to know, but remember, when we play songs as beginners, our mentality is to play them like they should be played, the way the record plays them, the way our head hears them, 10,000 times before I learn how to play that song. I know exactly every beat. 1, 2. I know. I just didn't know how to do it and what chords they were or what a chord was. Well, now I know. I want to start playing songs. So you're actually building internal timing just from the fact that you've been listening to music all your life and you know when that song goes from C to D, right? Now that you know what chords are and what those chords are and how to play them, now it's all starting to make sense. You got timing to make that. You know when you got to go down to that A minor and up real quick to the C, right? Of course, I'm just giving you generalities here, but that are making things songs. But when you break it all down, it's all the same. It's those open chords that you're learning day one. It's just how you put them together, and that's just the right hand with confidence, with smooth. You've built up the motor skills. You're now that juggler juggling 3 balls routinely. You got it all figured out, right? And then you start to sharpen even more from there if you want to, and maybe bring your brain in more and learn some more theory and be able to do certain other things. And that's the natural progression. If you don't want to go that far, if you want to keep it at, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, merrily, 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 whatever, knock yourself out. That's the whole thing. And there are a lot of people here that's all they want to do, and that's perfect. To this day, I don't think I play any cover songs the way they're supposed to be played, or as some people might call it, note for note. I don't do it. I don't think there's any. Now, there's all of them. When I was a beginner, I wanted to sound. I thought I had to sound exactly like the record all the time. I didn't realize they had all kinds of tricks they use, and that there's all different guitar players and instruments. That was nothing to me. So, I didn't know any of that stuff. Now I know, and know better. So, my friends used to. Everybody, when I was learning, they were into Neil Young. Everybody was playing. I can't remember. Was it? I want but you know how his songs. He has these little pick-ins, right, and stuff. And I never, I never bothered. I didn't. I didn't know what the hell they were doing or talking about, and I just waited till the song started. Then there's that little riff, something like that, da 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 da, whatever, right? I I didn't know what the heck that was, so I never had any desire to learn that, and I probably should have, or any of those little opening riffs of these. I just start playing the chords. So, and when it's a popular song, like everybody starts singing along and chipping in, and it's like, you don't need to. It's great if you do, you know. And I suppose there's songs that I know just maybe a little better that I do the little, whatever, the little note runs in between certain chords. But you don't have to. You just play the C, the G, whatever. And, you know, and it's great. If you can get up to that level, that's great. And if you apply yourself with a guitar foundation, oh, that's nothing. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, that's the beauty of this instrument. You don't have to know everything there is to know about this in order to play it, right? So I always ask people, you drive the car, right? So, do you know how to build the engine? Do you have to know how the engine works to drive a car? And the answer is no. Computer's the same. You got to know how to use the tools that is there to use it. Same with guitar. We don't have to know all how chords are made and what keys this in and that and blah, and what's the seventh degree of this and the suspended version of that. We don't need to know that in order to rock out on this thing or do anything you want with it. So absolutely, that you gotta make them your own because, like I said, it's hard to sound like somebody. If you're fortunate enough to have a voice that sounds like when they hear it, they go, "Oh, that's so and so. You sound like so and so." If you're like that, it's just like that when they say, "Hey, you look like so and so," or whatever. If that's the case, you're in luck. But for the most part, um, you're never going to sound like the people you're playing their songs. So that's exactly what I do. I try to rearrange the song a little bit, which means present it in a different way. Maybe I might switch. I might do something with a chorus, or you know, play only half of a long verse and then go to a chorus and come back to the other half of the verse. Like, I just present it in different ways that kind of takes people's mind off the way it's supposed to be, but they still know the song and it's still the essence of the song, and that's probably what you're talking about. So I try to do that kind of when I can as well. And I play. I've got a slew of my own that I play. So that kind of keeps it between. Sorry. When I go do little gigs now, I don't do many anymore. But when I do, it's got to be a certain demographic, and it's really only, what is it, give or take 2 hours of music, really. Um, and in that 2 hours, you might only need to play 35, 40 songs, not even 30 songs, probably. Oh, would you even play that many? Um, I know my original set that I do is a little over around 45 to 50 minutes, and that's without playing a cover. So yeah, I mean, you don't need really much. You stretch it out with a bit of, appropriate talking. And anyways, we came on here to talk capos, right? And I get carried away and stuff. So all right. So if you have any questions, let me know. I am preparing. I'm in the middle of preparing the next video to come out. Might be interesting. It is all about strumming, and it's pretty interesting. And I think it might help. And that'll be out real soon, as in like in the next day or two. All right. So we'll. I don't know if this video will survive the copyright. Uh, so if it seems a little weird or if I blank out in sound or whatever, then you'll know what happened. But other than that, remember, just play your guitar. That's how you get better. And we'll see you soon.